Today we're going to talk about how to make mods for Bethesda games specifically, and I, Giscard, aka Nanobite Ghost, are going to tell you how to do it. I've made several large mods, people know I've done this all the time, I've got lots of experience, and in this video I'm going to share with you some of my secrets. Well, first of all, when you're trying to make a mod, any mod, large or small, you have to learn the basics. And if we're talking about Bethesda games, the two basic things you need to learn is one, how to make a house mod, and two, how to make a character. A companion, sir. Why a companion? A companion needs a script attached to it. A script that allows them to follow you. You need to use packages. You need to learn how to control those packages from a script. You need to know how to write dialogue. It's a lot involved in it, but you start by making the character itself and letting it loose in the world. That's one objective achieved. Then you start adding packages so they go at certain places at certain times of day. That's another objective achieved. Then you start controlling it from dialogue and a script. That's the most complicated objective, and it's the most important one. Once you've done that, you're ready to make quest mods if you want to make quest mods, because it's a similar system. It's all about where the packages are and when a package should be updated, as in triggered or not triggered. So you can have your things trigger under certain circumstances, like if the player asks me to do this, then go to that location and do this. And then you can order them about. So you've learned how to order players about. If you've learned how to order players about, companions, then you can have basically your character order guards about. And what happens if you have to be a general to order them about? What happens if you have loads of characters in a fort and your player wanted to be a general and he works his way up the ranks, walks into a fort and goes, right there, I want you to do, and they go, who the hell are you? Doesn't work, does it? But if you have loads of dialogue and loads of packages added and you have a list of things you can tell these guards to do, and because you're a general, they're all enabled and all visible to you, and it says, right, this only applies if the player is a general, and you are a general, you click on right, go and guard the gate. Off they go to guard the gate. If you're not a general, it doesn't even appear on the dialogue as an option. And this is all to do with the companions, how you order companions about. It's a similar trick, only we've added the extra element of a faction. And these are the kind of things you need to learn, right? So you start with a house mod. You make a companion, you learn how to order the companion about. Now you've got the basics. You've got the basics down pat. I know this sounds like it's really advanced, but we are talking, this is really the basics. As you get more towards the dialogue, you're getting into more advanced territory. So you've got to study, you've got to read, you've got to learn. But because we're focused on one specific area, it's actually easier to learn. If you were to try and say, look, I want to learn about the entire orchard, it'd be very hard. If I said, tell me about this apple, it's much easier. It's something you can literally get your teeth into. And people can actually answer that question. If you said, tell me about Skyrim, where am I supposed to start? Where am I supposed to start? You tell me about Solitude, it's a bit easier. It's still difficult, but it's still a bit easier. That's what we've just done. We've made it a bit easier for you to learn the big concepts using small examples. Now, you got the basics now. Now, there's a little trick you should know now, right? Suppose we're going to use Return to Helgen as an example here, right? When I did that, I did it in 4 phases. Version 1 was phase 1, so we're going to focus on version 1. Now, how did I join a faction like the Imperials without actually breaking every other Imperial mod out there? That's a trick. It takes a bit more advanced knowledge, but I'm going to share that with you now. First of all, when we was designing the mod, I said, what did I want to do? I wanted it to join the Imperial faction. That means I had to learn about factions. So I learned about factions, and I learned if I edit the Imperial faction, every single Imperial faction out there is going to be affected by my edit. And if they edit, they're going to affect my game. And I've decided that was a no-no. That's what people call a dirty edit, because it affects mods that I didn't mean to be affected by this edit. So how do we get around that? Well, we need them to be Imperial faction, so we give our character the Imperial faction. He joined the Empire, here's the faction. Right? Now, we can't edit that, so we can't add our ranks to that. So we need another faction. We've got our Imperial faction, so we add that to our character. And in our Imperial faction, we add all our ranks. So now we've got him in the Imperial faction, so you can go where all the Imperials go, but we've got our ranks in our own faction. We edit our Legion faction. That's how you get around it. Now, if you put dialogue down in a quest dialogue down, and you put down if Imperial faction, right, and the player is a general in my Imperial faction, show this line of dialogue on the guard. You then go to the guard, and because you're a general, the order's there. Because my Imperial faction says so. And because the character you're talking to is actually in the Legion in the game, your dialogue now appears on the Legion in the game. You see what I'm saying? So you've edited every Legionnaire in the game without actually editing them. You've made the cleanest addition to a game you could possibly make with no comeback. There's never going to be a conflict because of the way you did it. You would use your own factions to make the edit, and everybody else's, right, should be doing the same thing. But the lack of experience means a lot of time they don't. So we got two factions. We use them from now on to add dialogue to every other character in the game that we need to add to. All we have to do is name the faction we want it to apply to and ask, is the player in my Legion and what rank is that? So they're commands you need to learn. So you learn them commands. So now we've got the player. He's in the game. He's in Skyrim. He wants to join the Legion. He's joined the Legion. You've got your rank system. He's just a trooper at this point. Now, how do we promote him? Or maybe a recruit. How do we promote him? Well, let's have him do a few, patrols. Just send him to a few places on patrol. So we're going to make him part of a squad for his own protection. So we have a few characters, companions, about 5 of them or 4 of them, follow the player. Simple. We learned that right at the beginning. So now the player marches off, 4 companions following him, and they'll protect him whilst he's on patrol. Right? When he gets there, right, the patrol's over. But trigger boxes are a bit dodgy in Skyrim. So let's use is the player within cell kind of command. So it's a player at cell so-and-so, like an inn. So we'll finish our patrols in the inns, right? So that's a good way, a good safe way of ending a patrol. As soon as he enters that inn, bang, done. And because we don't want him to cheat, we disable fast travel. As an optional extra, we'll disable fast travel. Or we'll make note if he uses fast travel and just go slappy wristy and not reward him as much, bonus points for not doing it properly. Because you can do all this. You can add all these fancy bits into the script later if you want to. But this is me just floating out there for you. So now we've got these patrols laid out. Player starts a patrol, several characters join him, he marches to the inn. When he gets to the inn, patrol over, and he can fast travel back if he wants. Sorted, easily done. Now, what happens if some of the companions are dead? Well, we can reset the companions. We can get rid of the ones we've got and respawn any dead ones. Right? That's an advanced feature. As soon as you click on the player, or you click on the officer giving the next patrol, you could have a thing saying respawn all of these. So they respawn the full patrol again, preferably in a room somewhere other than where the player is talking to the guard, so the player doesn't see it happening. So you get the patrol back even if they all died, right? And you do it again. So these are like icing on the cake features, the little details that you work out as you go. Okay, now he's joined the Legion. He's gone on patrol. He replaced the losses. You're looking pretty good at this point, but it's a bit of a boring mod if you think about it, because he's just joined the Legion to run around between inns and the castle. So we need to make it a bit better. So we need some quests, some real quests. So what do we do about that? Well, we have to understand the basic premise of a quest is go to a location, do something. What do you do? And what location should it be? The easiest ones are to send the player to an existing location, like a field, and say, kill a dragon. So you spawn a dragon at the location, you give it a script. As soon as it dies, it informs the game it's dead. That updates the quest. The quest says finished, player's completed the quest. So really, you don't need anything else. Your quest is a simple, is this character dead? If yes, well done, you finished the quest. And that's the only thing in it. The simplest thing you could do. You could do 10 quests like that in no time. So let's say 10 quests you have to do. And in those 10 quests, we're going to kill everything. So there you go, you got it. So now you've got 10 kill quests and a few patrol quests, and you've got a way of ranking the system up based, or the player up based on whether he's completed his quest. Like in Return to Helgen, I ranked him up after he did so many patrols. He went from being a recruit to a trooper. So let's make sure that when the player becomes a trooper, the 10 quests become available. So we use that. We rank him up. So he's now promoted to trooper. Our Legion now says he's gone from recruit to trooper, so he's now marked as a trooper. The quests on offer, the 10 kill quests, where you go out to kill dragons and bandits, they say, is the player a trooper or higher? If yes, display this on this Legion officer. This Legion officer now displays the orders. The orders that he's allowed as a trooper. He's probably got lots of other orders hidden for higher ranks. Better quests, more interesting dialogue, that kind of thing. But once he becomes a trooper, it unlocks his other quests automatically because they're limited to anybody of a trooper rank or above. So they're there all along, but they're just not visible to the player until he does the right quests and is promoted to that thing. You've saved yourself a lot of work. You don't need anything extra. It will automatically trigger. So why didn't I do that in Return to Helgen initially? Because I was a muppet. That's why we got the campfire running through the campfire. But anyhow, we've now got 10 quests. You join the Legion, you do your patrols, you do 10 quests. That's a good version 1 mod, right? And you add it to a location like Helgen, and you don't do too much on the groundwork initially, because this is only version 1, right? There's plenty of time for adding detail in future versions. So that's a good version 1. Let's say that's a mod is done at that point, and we release it, and we get feedback on what people want to see as features. We write that feedback down, and anything that fits with our plan for the mod, we take forward. We develop that idea. Anything that doesn't, we drop. Now, he's now a trooper. He's done all these quests, and maybe when he gets to the end of that quest, he's promoted to a lieutenant. So by the end of the mod, or the end of version 1, our character is a lieutenant. So the next quest we add to that same Legion officer should ask, is this player who ranked lieutenant or higher in my Legion? Then every quest after that is revealed if he is that rank. Again, we made our life a lot easier. We do 10 more quests. This time we might want to make them a bit more fancy. You might want to add a story to them, because the player's not just a Legion anymore, he's an officer. So maybe he'll deal with a Falmor like Man did, or maybe he'll deal with a Redguard like Man did. And maybe he'll be dealing with a specific Jarl, or Jarl, or something like that. Or maybe he'll now have to fight the Stormcloaks, and he's part of the campaign to defeat them. So you get 10 quests focused on whatever your story's about. It tells that story. You don't have to complete the story in them 10 quests. You just have to introduce the story in them 10 quests. So you can be as quick or as slow as you like. You can use law books like I did, dialogue, because by now you'd be good at doing the dialogue. You do the dialogue, anything you like. You can have long, complicated briefs on law, long, complicated briefs on what's happened in the fort. You could have rumours, innuendo. You can have people gossip about each other if you want, right? Finding a spy, anything you like. You now have the skills to take that idea much further forward. You've also learned, right, to keep each release as an achievable goal, something you can definitely do. And that's the key. Whenever you're making a mod, the end of that mod has to be achievable. You have to feel you've made progress. If you make the scope too broad, you'll get bored before you get to release it, and that mod will never get released. So you make it an achievable goal. We started with making a character, a companion. That's an achievable goal for a newbie. Making a home, that's an achievable goal for a newbie. Between them, they teach you the basic skills. We then move on to something like Helgen, a bit more grand. I went from making a necromancer called Rictus Necromus to making Kvatch Aftermath in one go, I just wanted to learn the system, so I used the character, and then I made a large quest mod on my own with no prior experience. So you can do it. You just have to be willing to read up on the topics you're stuck on. It's understanding these topics aren't always, how we say, clear, and you don't always know where to go next, which is why you have to read, because it tells you where to go next. Some of the tutorials are not as good as others. Sometimes if you have a specific question, it's much better to come to a model like me and say, Giscard nanobite, how do I do this? And get a few clues as to where to start. Because even if I said you need to use the is within command, right, and then you run off and study what the is within command does, or you get a script off of me and you use that. Either way, you end up in the same spot. You end up in the spot where the command is ready to roll, and you know where you can apply it. And the more commands you learn, the more things you learn you can do in your quests, and the better your quests become. But that's kind of thing you get used to with time. You expand with time. It's like knowing about the factions and knowing that if you edit the Legion faction, you're going to break every mod that uses Legions, which is bad. Knowing that comes with time. I've given you that as a freebie. Told you how to make factions appear like you're in them without actually editing them. That's a free trick from an expert modder who knows how to make mods that don't interfere with other people's mods. So I'm going to start by memorizing that one because that's a good trick. Anyway, remember, Achievable Goals, version 1. Second version, you can get to the fun stuff. I usually find the fun stuff is happening between version 2 and 3. And while I'm doing 2 and 3, I'm going back and redecorating version 1 and adding detail to it. I'm adding the leaves to the tree in version 1 while I'm working on 2 and 3. So when I get bored and I don't feel like doing anything complicated, I'll go to a room, I think that needs a bit more work, and I'll decorate it. So my mods look better on version 2 than they did in version 1 because the work has gone on in version 2 to make it better. I also add more features, like I might add a smith to Helgen in version 2, not in version 1. Or maybe I'll do it in version 3. I might add a mine to Helgen in version 4. So over time, Helgen gets richer and richer and more detailed. And this is how you make cities. It's the same way. The first thing you've got to do is build the city and put people in it. And then you've got to have shops. That's your version 1 for if you're doing a city right there. After that, you've got to start adding more detail, like the smithies. This is anything, any trainers and things like that. You edit what the shops sell, make it more specific, give quests, allow the players to join the guard. All these kind of things come later, right? So your achievable goal for cities is basically getting the city to look like a city and have shops that open. Then you do quests and joinable factions in version 2 and more interesting stuff after that. It's all about achievable goals. So you need to think about that. You need to write it down. What can you personally achieve? What would be realistic given what you're starting out as? And go from there. And if you don't know the answer to that question, you need to do a few smaller mods first so you can answer that question. See you in the next one.